Have you ever wondered how any organization, especially one from way back, creates a playbook for success? Well, we're about to look at one of the originals. Today, we're diving into the ancient letter of 1 Timothy, but we're not treating it like some dusty old document. We're looking at it as a practical blueprint, a mentor's guide for bringing order straight out of chaos. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the personal story behind this letter. Then, we'll look at the actual crisis it was written to solve. From there, we'll unpack the blueprint for order, see how it defines leadership, and finally explore what it really meant for the entire community to live out their faith. Okay, first things first. It is so important to get that 1 Timothy isn't some abstract essay. Nope, it's a deeply personal and super practical letter from a seasoned leader to his trusted guy on a really critical mission. And this relationship is absolutely the key to understanding the whole thing. The person who received a letter, Timothy, he's a protege, what we'd probably call a mentee today. He's being coached and empowered by a mentor to handle a really, really tough assignment. And that dynamic, it shapes every single piece of advice in the letter. So let's meet our main players, right? On one side, you've got Paul. He's the experienced mentor, the guy who's seen it all. And on the other side is Timothy, his protege. He's on the ground in a city called Ephesus, and he is tasked with navigating some pretty serious challenges. This quote just cuts right to the chase, to the why of it all. See, Paul isn't just writing to say hi. He has a crystal clear two-part mission for Timothy. First, shut down the false teachings that are spreading, and second, build up a culture of what the letter calls godly conduct. So what was this crisis? I mean, why the urgent need for a mentor's guide? Well, Timothy was basically walking into a community that was facing a huge internal threat, and it was all rooted in one specific problem. At the very heart of the problem was this wave of false teachings. I mean, just imagine trying to build a strong community when misinformation and all these conflicting ideas are spreading like wildfire. This was the #1 challenge Timothy had to take on. And you can totally see how these problems created a vicious cycle, right? The false doctrines weren't just some intellectual debate. They were leading to a real breakdown in behavior, that lack of godly conduct. And the whole mess was made even worse by a simple lack of structure. The community was crying out for a clear organizational plan. So, in response to all this chaos, Paul provides a clear, structured blueprint. This isn't just a random list of rules. It's a strategic 3-part solution designed to bring back health and order. The plan is basically a 3-step reset. First, you correct the message by getting back to sound doctrine. Second, you fix the structure by setting up clear leadership. And third, you reshape the culture by promoting godly living. You can see how each of these steps is a direct answer to the problems we just talked about. This chart gives us a fantastic visual of the letter's priorities. You see, everything revolves around these core themes: sound doctrine and godliness. Those are the big goals. And establishing church order and dealing with false teachers, those are the practical steps to get there. Now, a huge part of creating order is defining leadership. I mean, you can't have a healthy organization without healthy leaders, right? So Paul gets super specific about who should be in charge and exactly what is expected of them. The letter lays out 2 key leadership roles. You've got the elders, who are basically in charge of teaching and spiritual oversight. You can think of them as the vision setters. And then you have the deacons, who are focused on service and practical needs. They're the hands-on implementers. And what's really crucial is that the letter gives a detailed job description for both, focusing heavily on a person's character. But here's the thing, this blueprint wasn't just some memo for the leaders. Paul's instructions reached everyone, with the goal of completely transforming the daily life and interactions of the whole community. To really get this, we have to understand the concept of godliness. In this context, it's not some private feeling. It's all about practical, observable, day-to-day behavior. It's about walking the talk, living a life of integrity that actually reflects what you believe. And this just shows you how practical the advice gets. Paul gives specific instructions for different groups inside the community, how to treat older members, how to care for widows, even instructions for slaves. It's a truly comprehensive guide to living together. So if we boil this all down, what's the one big takeaway? It's this incredibly powerful connection between what you believe and how you act. The letter basically argues that a healthy community is built on 2 pillars: sound teaching and godly living. You just can't have one without the other. Strong beliefs with no action are empty, and good actions without a solid foundation just won't last. And all of that leaves us with a really fascinating question. If you strip away the ancient context, 1 Timothy is all about leadership, managing misinformation, and building a strong organizational culture. So how can these ancient guidelines actually apply to the modern teams, companies, and communities that we're all a part of today? That's definitely something worth thinking about.